Greetings, my fellow freeloaders and sovereign thinkers. This is LL3's newest podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful swampy mangroves of South Florida. And today's date is Wednesday, January 11th, 2017. Yeah, I'm at CJ's Java Lounge once again in the new river section of Fort Lauderdale. Check it out, man. It's pretty quiet as we speak. And so, yeah, a good friend of mine sent me an interesting link yesterday in reference to the shooter. So, and I don't know why the lamestream networks are not addressing this. However, I still see him as a Manchurian candidate regardless on what I'm going to be narrating on this article, which is done by Judicial Watch. And I'll be then talking about what he took advantage of and all that good stuff. Plus, I'll just be a few other extra things, and I'll try to make this one short. So here we go. Before I begin, it's some breaking news. This came from, I guess, a few sites. I guess, Press for the Future, or Freedom of the Press. It talks about breaking news. NBC reports that Chelsea Manning is on Obama's short list for commutation. Chelsea has suffered enough. We need to get her free now. Call the DOJ comments line on 202-353-1555. Free Chelsea Manning. Commute her sentence to time served. And what happened was he actually was involved on releasing videos of unjustifiable shootings from the soldiers during the invasion of Iraq, and they call him or her the criminal. So I support the cause, and I'll hear the number again is 202-353-5555. All right, and I might just try to paste this on my Spreaker page, okay, so folks can check it out and let her go. That's all I have to say, because if you question an authority and they call it espionage, people in Washington, D.C., these are the big peon microphone. Other words, have that in their mouth because they're mumbling. All right, so proceed here. This came from judicialwatch.org, and this one's entitled Airport Shooter Converted to Islam, identified as Aashiq Hammad, years before joining Army. As it reads here, the Fort Lauderdale airport shooter is a Muslim convert whose years before joining the U.S. Army took on the Islamic name Aashiq Hammad, downloaded terrorist propaganda, and recorded Islamic religious music online according to public records. Dug up by the investigative news site of an award-winning California journalist. This pertinent information that the Obama administration apparently wants to keep quiet, bringing up memories of the Benghazi cover-up in which President and his cohorts knowingly lied to conceal that Islamic terrorists attacked the U.S. Special Mission in Libya. Information is slowly trickling out that links the Fort Lauderdale airport shooter to radical Islam, while the official story from authorities is that the gunman is a mentally ill Hispanic Army veteran named Esteban Santiago that became unhinged after a tour in Iraq. Only one mainstream media outlet mentions the possibility of Santiago's jihadist identity, bearing it in a piece about New York possibly being his initial target. A paragraph deep in the story mentions that investigators recovered Santiago's computer from a pawn shop, and the FBI is examining it to determine whether he created a jihadist identity for himself using the name Aashiq Hammad. The rest of the traditional mainstream media coverage promotes the government rhetoric that omits any ties to terrorism, even though early on a photo surfaced of Santiago making an ISIS salute while wearing a kayef, a Palestinian Arab scarf. So he made a salute to ISIS. Well, I've been telling this for a long time, and a lot of people who've been listening to my show ISIS is New World Order funded, or not say it's CIA is a CIA created by the CIA. We can go on, but it is not organic. All right, in my personal viewpoint, based on the information I've examined. Public records uncovered in the days after the massacre suggest Santiago or Hammad is a radical Islamic terrorist that seriously commits to Islam. Besides taking on a Muslim name, he recorded 3 Islamic religious songs, including the Muhammad Declaration Faith. There is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger, known as the Shahada. He also posted a thread about downloading propaganda videos from Islamic terrorists on a weapons and explosives forum. The investigative news site that unearthed this disturbing information connected the dots between Santiago, who is Puerto Rican descent, and Hammad, his identity he created in 2007. This week, a prominent Fort Lauderdale businessman and longtime resident addressed a letter to the city's mayor and commissioners, blasting county and federal officials for covering up that Aashiq Hammad, not Esteban Santiago, attacked our city and county. The businessman respected Fort Lauderdale real estate entrepreneur Jim Morlock, specifically names Broward County's elected sheriff Scott Israel, Florida Senator Bill Nelson, the first to identify Santiago as a shooter on national television, and Congressman Debbie Wasserman Schultz, ousted last summer as Democratic National Committee chair over a scandalous plot to damage Bernie Sanders during the primary. Since when does a U.S. Senator, Bill Nelson, not law enforcement, be the one to so quickly release this terrorist Hispanic name, but nothing more relevant Islamic background? The letter asks, Obama must have told Senator Nelson to keep this from looking like a Muslim terrorist attack during the last 12 days of his watch. Bad for his legacy. Well, he already had a crappy legacy anyway. Morlock goes on to state that it's better to portray the atrocity as a white Hispanic Alaskan mental Iraq war vet gun violence. The real estate entrepreneur proceeds to reveal that Santiago lives in walking distance to the only mosque in Alaska, was radicalized before he entered the military, and was knowingly allowed to serve despite his Islamic sympathies thanks to Obama's PC military. The letter poses interesting questions, including why this Muslim terrorist chose Fort Lauderdale out of all the nation's airports who Santiago knows in Broward County, which has a large growing Islamic community. In 2015, Judicial Watch obtained records from the Florida Department of Law Enforcement that shows an Al-Qaeda terrorist who helped plan several attacks lived in Broward County and graduated from the local community college with a degree in computer engineering. His name is Adrian G. L. Shukajama, but he also had a Hispanic identity, Javier Robles. And for years he appeared on the FBI's most wanted list. Back in 2012, Judicial Watch reported on a terrorist front group's demand that Broward County public schools should close twice a year to celebrate Islamic holy days, illustrating the influence that Muslims have in the region. So it's a lot more bigger than what it is. And even though they say, according to this, they say he has converted into Islam and made his pledge of allegiance to ISIS. And I know on Facebook, everyone's going, all these Muslims this and Muslims that, Muslim bashing. And, I'm not going to be agreeing on their creed in a lot of areas anyway. But I'm not going to. But the whole thing, this whole objective is this. This is just another pawn of the game. Like I said in my last episode pertaining to Mr. Santiago, or you want to call him Aashiq Hammad, that he's still MK Ultra or a mind control victim, or other words, a Manchurian candidate, because they come in all different avenues. All right, and this is funny when they say, how come he chose Fort Lauderdale instead of any other airports to go shooting? Well, if you look if you start looking, okay, out of 6 states, you're not allowed to carry a firearm in Florida's airport terminal. All right, in Alaska, you can. And so I got a couple of links that back that up. Excuse me here. Boom. I got a couple of links that back this up. And it says here is from 2015 State Airport Gun Laws. This is by E. Lee Thompson. Okay. And it tells you the areas you can carry, which is illegal, which is not, in 6 states, which is illegal: Florida, Virginia, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Illinois, and North Dakota. Okay, and 3 you can open carry. Required is Ohio, Mississippi, and Nevada. The rest you can legally carry in certain areas. And believe it or not, California and New York, you can legal to carry in the terminals. Okay, so think about that. That's probably one of the reasons why this man may have done his homework. Okay, and you could look right here. States will not preempt a local regulation of firearms, but it's Connecticut, Hawaii, Massachusetts, New Jersey, and New York. So I will keep on going down here. It tells you here on page 6, code the Title 18 U.S. Code 926A, Interstate Transportation of Firearms. It gives you a whole rundown on that, how it should be done. So it's called notifying. That's the name of the game. And I go here on page 10 on Alaska, which is airport, terminal, and parking lot. Which they are permitted, and that's under the Alaskan statute 29.35.145, and which is actually A4 and E2. So let's check that out. A4 and E2, right? Let me see. Let's check that out. A4 and E2. All right. So here's A4. It says here. It says here about prohibiting the possession of firearms or knives in a restricted access area of municipal government buildings. The municipal shall post the notice of prohibition against possession of firearms and knives at each entrance to the restricted access area. So it has to be on its face, has to be displayed. And E2 in this section, restricted access areas, means that area beyond a secure point where visitors are screened and does not include common areas of ingress and egress open to the general public. So you can carry, it's permitted, but certain restricted areas has to be displayed. All right. So in those terminal areas, it will be hard for Mr. Hammad or Mr. Santiago, whatever you want to call him. It will be harder for him to achieve what he did in Fort Lauderdale, okay, at the Fort Lauderdale airport. So it's considered more of a harder target. So when you go back, all right, on this page here, and it will be on the airport terminal, which is page 11 of page 21 of 21 pages. It says here airport terminals prohibited, and it's under Florida statute 790.06, subsections 12A, subsection 14, and it notes here prohibit firearms inside the passenger terminal and sterile area of any airport except firearms created encased for shipment, and any place where the carrying firearms is prohibited by federal law. So we'll just go in here and license to conceal or carry firearms. And let me just look at it again. Sorry, 12A subsection 12A subsection 14. And let's gotta go scroll down a little bit. It says here a license shall issue under this section does not authorize any person to open carry a handgun or carry concealed weapons or firearms into, Section 14, inside of the passenger terminal and sterile area of any airport, provided that no person shall be prohibited from carrying any legal firearm into the terminal, which a firearm is encased for shipment for purpose of checking such firearms as baggage to be lawfully transported on any aircraft. So, and so right there, it proves the Fort Lauderdale Airport and all airports in the state of Florida are considered soft targets. So that's where he took advantage of. And people say, oh, we need it for the mentally ill and all that. Regardless, all right, on what you view, it was a firearm-free zone that he took advantage of. No ends, no ifs or buts. And this is why I'm very critical on some of Broward County Sheriff Israel's rhetoric about we need the no-fly. He supports the no-fly, no-buy. And how can they secure it? And like I said before, I know I harp this with no intent, that the police aren't obligated to protect us. And that's how you have to look at that. So, but definitely I will add all those on my footnotes, and you can see it for yourselves and examine everything and all that good stuff. Okay, folks? You can check that out. All right. Next one here. This is interesting to talk today. It came from antiwar.com. Report FBI sought FISA court warrant to surveil Trump campaign officials. And my dog's just hanging out with me, chilling. The new report released today features from both FBI seeking to launch a surveillance operation against an active U.S. presidential campaign and the ultra-rare case to the FISA courts actually turning down the FBI request to conduct surveillance against somebody. It's interesting there, you know. You got something I gotta really look at. I just get a good chuckle at times. We gotta hunt down Trump. I'm not talking to a guy who's not even a supporter. Okay, I see all this witch hunting fetish. Yeah. All right. It says here. The report originating at the Guardian claimed that the FBI had sought broad surveillance powers over 4 high-ranking members of the President-elect Trump campaign during the election, claiming them to have contact with Russian officials. The FISA court turned down the request down, telling investigators that they needed to narrow the request. Though the 4 are not directly named in the report, is related, claimed the dossier of Russia having substantial blackmail dirt on Trump. That dossier centered heavily around accusations against a handful of Trump campaign personnel, including Carter Page, Paul Manafort, and Lieutenant General Michael Lynn, along with Trump's personal lawyer Michael Cohen, meaning some of them may be among targets. Secondary reports speculated that the FBI may well have sought a more narrow application for surveillance, though details are not even less clear than the previous reports. Though a lot of these reports don't end up substantiated, if true, this could well add to the expected acrimony between the incoming administration and the intelligence community. Well, there's more cloak and dagger stuff as usual. So you got to see how accurate this is, of course. And I just you know what? It's a done deal. And these folks better have merit. Let's see what the report has to say. Political Wire. Okay, politicalwire.com came out yesterday on that. So it's interesting from the Guardian and all that too. So that's nothing really new whatsoever. Just gotta see. I was curious how deep and how far they're gonna be narrowing this or harping the daylights out of it. Well, I'm gonna say, you know what? Someone has dirt on somebody. We all know Donald Trump has rough edges, and many of these other people he's appointed as well. But you know how it goes. It's trying to find a witch hunt this person one way or the other, and it's getting ridiculous. All right. Next one here came from Bloomberg. came out yesterday by Zoltan Simon. And hold on here. I forgot. Jason Dix did that one. All right, this one here came from Zoltan Simon. It says here Hungary plans to crack down on all Soros-funded NGOs. It's from Bloomberg. And it says here Hungary plans to crack down on non-government organizations linked to billionaire George Soros now that Trump will occupy the White House, according to the deputy head of Prime Minister Viktor Orban's party. The European Union will use all the tools at its disposal to sweep out NGOs funded by Hungarian-born financier, which serve global capitalists and back political correctness over national governments. Slaughter Diamond, the vice president of the ruling FISA party, told reporters on Tuesday no one answered the phone at the Open Society Institute in Budapest when Bloomberg calls outside business hours. I felt there was an opportunity for this internationally because of Trump's election, State News Service. MIT reported, Nemeth said, saying lawmakers will start debating a bill to let authorities audit NGO executives according to the parliament's legislative agenda. Orban, the first European leader to publicly back Trump's campaign, has ignored criticism from the European Commission and the U.S. President Barack Obama's administration for building a self-described illiberal state. Modeled on authoritarian regimes, including Russia, China, and Turkey. In 2014, Orban personally ordered the state audit agency to probe foundations financed by Norway and said that civil society groups financed from abroad were covered for paid political activists. Orban and his administration have frequently singled out NGOs supported by Soros, a U.S. Democratic Party supporter with a wide network of organizations that promote democracy in formerly communist Eastern Europe. Power structure. Trump also accused the 86-year-old billionaire of being part of a global power structure that is responsible for the economic decisions that have robbed out our working class, stripped our country of its wealth, and put that money into pockets of a handful of large corporations and political entities. In pre-election commercial, he showed images of Soros along with the Federal Reserve Chair Janet Yellen and Goldman Sachs Group Inc. CEO Lloyd Blankfein, all of whom are Jewish. The Indifferent criticized the ad for touching on the subject that anti-Semites have used for ages. I'm just wondering how many of them are actually Jewish by faith, or they actually are Hebrew in their DNA. That's the thing. So, well. One thing I like, so you talk about three ginos, Yellen, Soros, and Blankfein. You know what I mean. Jew or Judaic in name only, right? Exactly. That's why I'm looking at them. Call them ginos. They hate that, or they hate that because they can't stand anti-Semitic. That drives them more crazy. I think this is a good plan. What Orban is doing, okay? Because he needs to crack down on these NGOs, one world order establishments. So yeah, I think it's great, and hopefully Hungary will keep pushing from this global tyranny out of their country. It'll be a great inspiration for the rest of Europe. Okay, all right. Well, enough of that. And yeah, I'll do one more here. It's a little bit short and sweet because here, my activist post is by James Holbrooks. It says China just sent the most chilling message yet over US-Taiwan relations. On Sunday, directly on the heels of Taiwanese President Tsai Ing-wen's controversial meeting with U.S. lawmakers in Houston, a state-run Chinese tabloid ran an editorial warning that China would take revenge if the U.S. abandoned its one China policy. Trump is yet to be inaugurated, and there is no need for Beijing to sacrifice bilateral ties for the sake of Taiwan, writes the Global Times. But in case he fears up the one China policy after taking office, the mainland is prepared. The editor goes on to state that Beijing would rather break ties with the U.S. if necessary, and continuing collaboration between U.S. and Taiwanese officials will ruin Sino-U.S. relations and destabilize the entire Pacific Asian Pacific region. Later in the piece, however, the Times discards pretense and assumes a more threatening tone. If Trump reneges on the one China policy after taking office, the Chinese people will demand the government take revenge. There is no room for bargaining. Good grief, like everyone wants to rule the world here, huh? The opinion of the Global Times, as Reuters points out, does not necessarily equate to the official stance of the Chinese government. It is, however, a state-controlled outlet, and the editorial undeniably reflects the mounting tensions between China and the U.S. over the issue of Taiwan. China viewed the nation of Taiwan, whose foundation was laid in 1949 when the official Chinese government was forced to flee to escape the communists, as an official Chinese province. This is the root of the One China policy, which the U.S. has long adhered to. This all began to change when incoming President Trump broke protocol, as highlighted by the Washington Post piece on Monday. Tensions regarding the U.S.-Chinese-Taiwanese relations have been high since early December. The Post writes, when President-elect Donald Trump accepted a phone call from Xi, breaking with nearly 4 decades of protocol and speaking directly with the Taiwanese leader. The situation intensifies during the week that followed, most notably due to the Taiwanese president's announcement that she would stop over in Houston to meet with Texas lawmakers on her way to Central America. This prompted the Chinese General Counsel of Houston to send a letter to one of those lawmakers, Senator Ted Cruz, asking him not to meet with Xi. So you're gonna have to tell people what to do, right? Come on, shut up. The senator ignored that request. However, he and the governor, Greg Abbott, met with Xi on Sunday. Within hours, the Global Times editorial warning the U.S. against taking actions counter the obligations of the U.S. president to maintain China-U.S. relations have been published. In a statement, however, Senator Cruz made it clear the United States will not be told with whom it can and cannot meet. Well, I'm pretty critical of Ted Cruz, but I have to agree with them on that one. People's Republic of China needs to understand that in America we make decisions about meetings with visitors for ourselves. The statement reads, this is about the U.S. relationship with Taiwan, an ally we are legally bound to defend. The Chinese does not give us veto power over those with whom we meet. We will continue to meet with anyone, including Taiwanese, as we see fit. Okay, that's fair enough with me, and I don't like what other countries telling the United States what to do, and vice versa. The United States shouldn't be telling other countries what to do either. So you have to see it that way. And why? Because China has all the gold, allegedly. Well, you know what? The people in the world, when it comes to their governments, they're tired of this crap, having political bobbleheads, regardless where they're from, trying to tell other people what to do when to wipe their butts. When one nation become a nanny of another. That's why I get a big kick out of it when I'm reading this stuff. So, hey, I think the people in Taiwan, the people in China, they don't want to see any fighting anymore. That's been done 60 years ago. Mao Tse-Tung's dead, and so is Ken Hai-shek. It's history. I'm not crazy about them too either, based on what I read. But it's time to move on. Let's make this better for everybody. Plain and simple. And tell the world banks, the banksters, it's time to stick it as well. Okay, my friends, that is all for now. And plus, feel free to download and share throughout your social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, or you want to send me something that's interesting, whatever you do, have your correspondences, when I say please, with decorum. You can hit me on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Tumblr, YouTube, Freedoms Network, Scene.life, and Minds.com. Or you can email me at LokiLuck3@gmail.com, which is LokiLuck, the number 3, @gmail.com. Once again, thank you for your time. Let's always remember that demonic resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves, keep on spreading the love, and may your guardian spirits be with you.